Good morning, everyone. Welcome to my daily video blog. We are on day 15 of the blog, and it is my 59th day of social distancing. It's a long time. But you know, there has been such an amazing consensus in the world. There is something wonderful about that. While it's been terribly dramatic, it's been remarkably uniting. From Chudley, Jamaica to Edmonton, Alberta, we've all been navigating similar restrictions. This week, we got a phone call from the local school district announcing that they're anticipating that there will be summer school in the brick and mortar school buildings here in Independence, Missouri. To some extent, of course, that will still depend on how things evolve with the pandemic and on how registration goes. Some things in some places, though, are starting to reopen. Other leaders in other places are still making difficult decisions on the viability of camps and retreats that are normally part of our summer experience. Camps, of course, are a real challenge, since these tend to be fairly large groups coming together from different places. Our camps are typically also staffed by volunteers, and it's tough to guarantee the level of sanitation precautions that are needed right now. My prayers continue to be with those making these significant decisions. But as we start to fan out, so to speak, from this place of unity, and as we start to see different communities trying different things, I will continue praying for the most vulnerable and hoping that we'll always remember how we are fundamentally one world. Meanwhile, I am committed to continuing to bring you the big daily announcement to tell you what day it is, at least for now. I'll remind you every day in my blog about the Community of Christ Daily Prayer for Peace Country of the Day. I'll share another of Tiona's book recommendations. I've also got so many daily check-ins in mind that I want to tell you about as I keep having visits each day with someone from somewhere in the world. Today's daily prayer for peace country is Denmark. That's got a smile back on Eliza's face since Denmark is a big Eurovision country. She's humming Love is Forever from the 2019 Eurovision Song Contest. Look it up on YouTube if you like. Tiona says that was their favorite Eurovision song from last year and really what got Tiona hooked on Eurovision too. I understand that the Eurovision finale would have been next week. So even though Eliza's singing with joy this morning, there's still a bit of grieving for all that's been canceled and lost. It's been interesting to see the statistics out of Europe on COVID-19 rates, and thinking about Denmark reminds me of all that we can learn from looking at different approaches to managing the disease and to providing an economic safety net to the population. Today, you're invited to pray for peace. You may also pray for the Community of Christ Daily Prayer for Peace Country of the Day. Today I'll be praying for Denmark and remembering that there's a world out there. Today, Tiona has another book recommendation for us. The book is called Sadia. Sadia, S-A-D-I-A, by Colleen Nelson, published in 2018 by Dundurn of Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Tiona says that they first got this book in 2018 as a prize at the local library right here in Independence for success in the summer reading program. That was right before going to Europe, and so they ended up reading this book on the airplane to Paris. Tiona says the only reason I read this book was because I heard that it takes place in Canada. It takes place in Winnipeg, Tiona says, which I think is in Manitoba. It's about a Muslim girl who lives in Winnipeg and who left Syria before the war. She's in grade 9. Tiona says, but to me that's 9th grade because I live in the USA. But in the book, she says grade 9 because the book does take place in Canada. Her best friend is Mariam, who's becoming friends with other popular girls at school and dejobbing. I had to ask Tiona about that. Means not wearing her hijab anymore at school. Sadia is helping a refugee from Syria at school, and she's on the school basketball team and has a crush on a popular boy at school named Josh. Earlier this week, Tiona says, when I told you about the book Crossover, and I said that was one of the few books about sports that I like, well, this is one of the other few sports books that I've liked. My favorite part is near the end, so I can't exactly tell you too much about it, but the entire crowd ends up cheering for her, and that's like the best part. Tiona says, I think you'll enjoy this book. Okay, it's time for my daily check-in with someone from somewhere in the world that I serve in my work with Community of Christ. Eliza has been conjuring up these really cool Google Earth travel graphics to go with my daily check-in every day. She's really getting this tech figured out. Yesterday, it was so amazing to see the Toronto cityscape, and if you're familiar at all with the Bill McMurray building, you may have recognized that the building was the stop point in Eliza's map graphic. Today, we decided to take it a little easy on Eliza, kind of give her the day off. My check-in yesterday was with someone who's just a few blocks away across town. No big travel journey to depict as I head over to visit with this person on the other side of Independence. Yesterday, I had a good visit with John Glazer. John serves Community of Christ on the Council of Presidents of 70. As a president of 70, John is responsible for the 70 of Quorum 7, that's the Central and South America mission field, and Quorum 8, that's the Canada mission field and the Caribbean and Mexico, Texas mission field. John also serves as the Mission Center president for the Mexico, Texas Mission Center. So John and I work together a lot. In church jargon, we say that we are yoked together in mission. John is one of the wisest people I know. I so admire his theological and interpersonal relational insights, his vision for the radical justice Christ calls us to, and his appreciation of the powerful cooperative identity of the church are things about John and ideas that inspire me every day. John grew up on the Mexico-Texas border between the United States and Mexico. He jokes that first grade was the greatest experience of his life, the best 2 years of his life. Yes, the best 2 years of his life. John kids that he went to first grade in Mexico, and then they moved to the United States, and he had to do it again to learn English. John's mother was from Mexico, and his dad was a German American from Ohio. John's family encouraged education, and John has a PhD. I love the way John blends his book learning with the privilege that comes from the blending of cultures and languages. I could go on and on about John, but yesterday I had a chance to catch up with him a little on how his family's doing and how the pandemic is impacting the areas he serves for the church. Our conversation began with the two of us celebrating a little the wonderful online services in Spanish that have been taking place with the combined leadership of the Mexico, Texas Mission Center and the Dominican Republic Mission Center. As John says, COVID-19 is a curse, but in the midst of human adversity is where God's grace is manifest. John says it's gotten us exploring new ways of ministry. People are participating in ways they've never participated before. We've seen people who had been inactive in their local congregation finding their way into our regular participation in the online gathering. John says we've even had people from the Dominican Republic diaspora participating, like wonderful old friends who now live in New York. We've had Spanish speakers from Novato, California. We're talking about how to keep this going, John says, no matter what happens with congregations. John adds, there's a wonderful new energy. It is a lot of work, he says. And that's true. John's got his hands full with the administrative, legal, and financial work from before, and now trying to help support this new programming. But volunteers are stepping up and providing leadership. John says we've got technology stars like Isaac Venegas. He's got the Mission Center set up with a website, a YouTube channel, a Facebook page with all the Sunday services archived, The Sunday Zoom worship is simulcast now live on Facebook Live. John points out that they've had to discover the power of these technologies that have been around for a while in new ways. Video conferencing has been here, but now it takes center stage, and we have to retool to survive. John says that what the scientists say is true, that it's not the strongest or the fastest who survive, but the most adaptable. Meanwhile, John's whole household is working from home, and his family is all having to adapt too. They've divided up their home to accommodate their office space. John with his Zoom meetings, his wife Paula working from home with special needs kids and teaching her yoga classes, and their son Gabriel in his social work with Community Action Agency. John's older son is a partner in a recent startup small business. It's a craft brewery. They've had to adapt to survive. For them, it's discovering that they can beer and have people pick it up drive-through style. For the church, it's going online. But in John's world, everyone is adapting, and God's grace is found. Okay, it's about time for our big daily announcement. Da 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 da. Now in this moment, now in this day, but the question is, what day is today? Wait for it. Today is Thursday!
Yay, Thursday!
Yay, Thursday! We had a little conversation yesterday on Facebook about what people's favorite days are. What day do you wish that it was? Is your answer different now than it was before the pandemic? Give us a comment if you like. Okay, well, I'm not going to keep you much longer than that. I'm hoping to be back again tomorrow with another What Day is Today video blog. Again tomorrow, I'll remind you of the daily prayer for peace country of the day. Tuna will have another book recommendation, and I'm looking forward to reporting on another check-in with another person to update you on how they're doing. I'll put a link to the Mexico, Texas Mission Center website and Facebook group in the comments. If you speak a little Spanish, you might like to follow their Sunday morning worship service on Facebook Live or watch some of the growing collection of videos on their page. We've been meeting every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. Central Daylight Time, but you can always find the latest information on their website. If you speak some Spanish, you might especially like to catch David Brock's sermon from last Sunday. Okay, so I'm signing off for now from my home in Independence, Missouri. Please, until tomorrow, remember to breathe.